Hi everyone, what's up? It's Snipe Trading, and today is April 26th, Monday, and I'll be going over my recap for today. So today I made a total of 497 between my two brokers. 490 of that was on my TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim account, and $7 was from TradeZero, which was a break-even day on TradeZero. But I think I had like $90 or so in short locate fees today on TradeZero, so down there. So I'll be going over my TD Ameritrade account first, and then I'll go to my TradeZero. So let's get started. But before I get started, be sure to hit the subscribe and like button if you enjoy these content to support the channel, and if you want to hear me go over my thought process on each of my trades. Right, so first one here is ASXC. So I made 312 on this. So you can see it's overextended on the 5-minute chart. So if you pull the 5-minute chart up, you can see, or the 15-minute chart, you can see that it's extended. 15-minute 90 EMA is down here. So I will look for a 5-minute trigger. So here's the 5-minute trigger, the inverted cup and handle, inverted cup followed by the handle, and then you could short risking the handle as your stop. So I went ahead and see that there on the 5-minute chart, and I went ahead and look and take that short there. I started a few positions there, and then I added for that break of 237s or so, and then I went ahead and just cover along the way here, with my target being the 15-minute 90 EMA chart, which is this gray line around the 229 area. Right now my trade's not showing up, so it's showing up here okay on this chart, but yeah, you can see that's where I took my short around 236 average, 6,000 shares, and here's my covers, last one being around 230s, and it bounced from there. So that was a $312 trade on ASXC. Next trade is CLOV. So in this trade, pretty much the same concept, extending on the 5-minute chart, looking for the reversion to the 15-minute chart, and you can see it's lower highs forming, lower highs, triangle, lower highs, breaking that triangle around 929 or 930 area. Went ahead and looked for a short there, went and retested VWAP, and then I add a reshort here of 1,500 shares and cover at 923s, and I had my best covers here was at 919 on this wick. I think I had a few orders out there because I think this 922 was a key area where stops will be triggered, so I always make sure to have orders out to kind of get filled from those stop losses that are being triggered. And then I went ahead and covered the rest when it was creating a higher low here, stopping there for the rest of my shares. And that was a $223 winner on CLOV. Next trade was JFIN, JFIN. So there was a couple trades here. I took a early loss, $450 loss or so at this position. So I took a short there, had a wick, tested the 15-minute chart, and it popped up, and it took like $180 loss or so at that spot. And then it went ahead and I think it broke high of days here, or it broke these highs by a few penny, didn't go anywhere. I looked for the inverted cup and handle, trendline break, took that short and cover there, and pretty much recoup all my losses. I think this was like $190 win, and I was up 25 on the name for JFIN. And then on the later part of the day, because it hasn't fully tested the hourly yet, I was still short bias looking for the hourly test. You can see lower highs forming. So I size in here with my risk of the prior lower highs, and each time I give a lower high, I went ahead and just sized it in more, risking those lower highs. And eventually I wanted the 9 EMA hourly retest, which was at 690. It eventually broke down to lows and then had a low of 690 there. I covered 1,000 shares. And then I started covering a few more because the market was closing. I ended up retesting this 9 EMA there after hours. But I was trying to look for it during the normal hours and end up just covering there. So that was this was like $100 win here on JFIN, bringing me a total of 122 on the name. That was 3 trade total. So next trade is NNDM. So this was a break-even trade. I think I took it over here. I saw inverted cup and handle, lower highs forming. It was a bit extended on the 5-minute chart, but I went ahead and took it anyways. And then I think I covered a few just right below the 5-minute 9 EMA break. And then it didn't really had enough selling pressure, so I just went ahead and took it off for pretty much a $10 win there. Next trade was BNGO. So BNGO was a decent trade in the morning. I had a long trade. Right here. So this was a cup and handle. You can see it's a cup and then a handle. And prior resistance became support, and it was holding VWAP, and you can see it's creating lower highs. So I went ahead and took that long there. I think my orders are not showing up. Okay, there you go. So on this 5-minute chart, I think our swim platform is lagging, but you can see I got 1,000 shares on this break at 655 a break, and I sold along these pushes pretty much the first leg up. And there was an opportunity if you want to dip buy along this 5-minute trend here. It pretty much trailed that whole way through. But I went ahead. So this was like $160 win here. And then I went ahead and looked for a short trade. Okay, now it shows up here. I went ahead and looked for a short trade, which was right here. You can see the inverted cup and handle. It was a bit extended on the 5-minute chart, and then I had to cover and stopped out. So I actually gave away all my profits on BNGO. This was quite a big loss. I think it's a $200 loss. So it brought me back down to down 50 on BNGO. And that was that. But it was a nice breakout here. Wish I sized in a little bit more. It popped up like 6 cents pretty quickly, so I only got 1,000 shares. But yeah, that was BNGO. Hey Duingo, how do I find stock to begin with? Volume scanner. So I mostly just use my Thinkorswim platform. It's just if they're trading at least 1 million volume in the day and at least above 10% on the day, and below $20. So it's a pretty simple scanner. If you sort by like percent change, and I usually just trade the ones that are moving for the day. I do have like another scanner that looks for previous day gainers. So like today's list will be in tomorrow's list for yesterday, like as part of a previous day gainers, and I will look at them for a second day if they have a follow through. So that's BNGO. CSPR. So CSPR had a $56 loss here. This was a little tricky because it was high institutional ownership. I think it had 50% institutional ownership. So those ones are really a little tricky. It has algos trading and kind of big banks trading. But but I went in a little bit too early at this position here. So I went ahead and took a short there, risking pretty much these highs. So you can see the inverted cup and handle. It broke momentarily there. It held VWAP, bounced right off it, and it pretty much stopped me out from these highs here. And then took me out. So the other position was this kind of pretty much similar play. I think the first play was right here. Similar play. You could have short this, risking these highs, and this would have been a much kind of better trade here. But that was a $56 loss, and yeah, again, this was a little bit high institutional ownership, so it's a bit more difficult to short. But that was CSPR for a $56 loss. Next trade was BOXL, BOXL. So BOXL, I took just 2 losses here. It was extended. It had this little pop initially. I'm not sure what. It might have been some news or something. But I went ahead and looked for a short play because it was extended on the 5-minute chart. You can see the 1 minute is up here and the 5 minutes down here. So I was looking for a reversion to the 5-minute chart, and it momentarily broke there from this little wick, and it didn't really break out, so I had to stop out when it was trending. So this was I think a $30 loss or so on this position, and then I attempt to attack it short again. This time I went in a little bit too early. So you can see it was creating an inverted cup and handle, but you know, to confirm an inverted cup and handle break, it needs to break the cup line. So it hasn't broken the cup line or the trend line, but I went ahead and attacked it short just in case it did a fail flag, and then follow through, and then you can get a retest of 238. So this was a $50 loss or so, bringing me a total of like $72 loss on BOXL. So that was my TD account, up 490 on that. And then I can go over my trade zero. So trade zero has CCIE. Let me pull that up. So CCIV was a $392 win. Pretty much a broke even on trade zero. I had a big loss on MVIS. But trade zero or CCIV, my trade zero. Let me bring the chart up. So CCIV, you can see here the markers in my trades. I had, you can see it's creating lower highs, kind of triangle, and it had a huge flag line. So you can see this huge trend line, lower highs. So this trade here was a pretty low stress, low risk trade. I shorted the $23 break, risking 23.10. So it was a 10-cent risk, and it pretty much made me 50 cents. So I got 5-to-1 in my risk to reward. So this was definitely a trade I would take anytime, even though if it breaks to the upside, I'll take any time because you have a pretty good risk reward there. So this was a $392 win on my trade zero account. I took that short there and just cover it along the way, and pretty much I covered near the bottom there before I kind of reclaim and squeeze shorts there. Next trade was MVIS. So MVIS, I had 3 trades on this, 2 losers, 100. Let me go back to my chart. So 3 trades on this. So CCIV was $392 win. MVIS, I took 3 trades, a $200 win, $150 loss, and a $400 loss. And I'll go over that. So I'll show on my TD Ameritrade chart. Might be a little easier. I think the first trade was, let me just bring it up on my trade zero. Okay, so all right, so first trade was a short trade. Again, I went in a little too early on MVIS. So I saw it was breaking highs here. You can see those wicks breaking highs. And I was looking for an inverted cup and handle to break and then maybe retest a VWAP. It did that after I covered a bit. So that was my first loss there. I think this was a $200 loss. And then I went ahead and had a $200 win here. So it was a break-even trade. If you see, I had a $198 win and a $150 loss. So this was a $150 loss from the stop here. Zoom in. Okay, there you go. So yeah, I was trying to look for a short inverted cup and handle right here. Went into a little bit too early and I stopped out for a $150 loss. And then I went ahead and took this short and cover here for a $198 win. So that's a break-even trade there. And then I end up taking a $400 loss over here. So kind of same plan. I went ahead and looked for a short. You can see lower highs forming, looking for the inverted cup and handle. And I didn't exactly break there and I had to cover. And this was a $400 loss. I ended up taking too much size here and squeezing me out. So it was a difficult stock to trade. I think it was hard on both sides, on the long side and the short side. I think the long one is over towards the last 2 hours. But definitely before this, I think long and short was getting trapped and stopped out all over the place. So definitely a stock you would want to avoid if you're a beginner. So that's MVIS. Next trade was OCGN. I think this was just a small loss of $75. And I think I took this over here. So this one also took it for a short. Also went in a little bit too early as well. So at this position, I had a lower highs forming lower highs, a lower high here. So I went ahead and sized in a little bit here, looking for the break of this trend line, as well as this like inverted cup and handle. It ended up stopping me out right there for a $75 loss. So it's really important to know where to stop because this can squeeze you out for like a buck more per share, right? So I stopped out there. It was probably the first one that stopped out. And then because my plan didn't work and I had a risk level of 11.15 here from this prior high. Oh yeah, maybe I can pull up my chart so you can see that. So, all right, so this is and this is MVIS OCGN. So OCGN. All right, so here you can see I shorted. Same spot I mentioned, the inverted cup and handle. Looking for that. Shorted here, and then I covered right there, and you got squeezed a buck. So yeah, just make sure to cover. And then my last trade I'll be going over is RVPH. So this was a $50 win. So where did I take it? Okay, so I took it over here. So this was just a 1 minute reversal. I think it was a trend line break. It was something like this. I usually chart on my Thinkorswim. I don't really like TradeZero charts, but risking 760. I think 760 tested a couple times about up there, and it failed. So I went ahead and went in very small size, only 200 shares, and with my stop at 760. I think it was just a $20-$30 risk. And then I covered when it was hitting the 5-minute chart, 90 MA, around the 720s. And that was a $50 win. I didn't go in a huge size. I wasn't too confident here. So I size in based off my confident level and the probability level. So those were all my trades for today. Up a total of 497. Mainly on CCIV and ASXC. But yeah, definitely a recovery day from Friday's loss. But definitely just gotta keep your head straight and look at your strategy. But yeah, if you haven't done so, don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button if you enjoy these insights in my trades and to support the channel. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye.